Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom. Om Swastiastu. Namo Buddhaya. Greetings of virtue, peace, and good health to us all. Welcome to the G20 Digital Innovation Network's Financial Inclusivity Pitching Session. My name is Krishna Sam, and I'm very thrilled and honored to be your host for today's event. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone for allocating time in their busy schedules to attend this wonderful event. And to start, allow me to extend our warmest welcome to our guests of honor and judges for today. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our judges for today. Let's first give a round of applause for our judges. As one of our distinguished judges for today, we have with us Mrs. Kiran Bapna, who is the head of startup and VC partnership of Google. Kiran led partnership work at Google for over 19 years, both in the US and India. During her past tenure as the international product partnership principal, she managed early stage partnership, content acquisition initiatives, and was the business lead behind the launch of Google Transit, Google Translate, Google Now, Google Art Project, Cultural Institute, and many other India initiatives. She also led the early partnership work for Google Research that led to training and deep learning models for diabetic retinopathy, or DR, a complication of diabetes as one of the fastest growing causes of vision loss. She joined Google in 2003 and was part of the 3-member team that launched Google Scholar. Let's give a round of applause for Mrs. Kiran Bapna. And also, as one of our distinguished judges, we have Mr. Weihan Liu, who is GGV Capital Venture Partner. Mr. Weihan Liu is a serial technology entrepreneur in Southeast Asia with 20 years of experience. Before joining GGV, Mr. Weihan started Babe, the #1 mobile news app in Indonesia that serves up more than 1 billion news clicks every month to millions of readers by applying machine learning to the aggregation and recommendation of news and local content. He is also the founder of Main Games, the largest management platform for gaming live streamers in Indonesia, as well as being a leading mobile games publisher. Prior to his entrepreneurial journey, Mr. Weihan was a principal at Nokia Growth Partners in Beijing, leading growth stage investments into Chinese internet companies such as UC Web and Ganji.com. Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Weihan, please. And also, as one of our distinguished judges for today, we have with us Mrs. Lydia Radhi, who is the Director of Communications and Special Advisor to the President of US-ASEAN Affairs, or AREA. Mrs. Lydia Radhi is the Special Advisor on US-ASEAN Affairs and Director of Communication for the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, otherwise known as AREA, in Jakarta, Indonesia. With over 20 years of professional experience, she has worked at the nexus of the public and private sectors focused on strategic planning and communications and also policy issues. Prior to AREA, she served as advisor to the chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, trained in law at Georgetown University. Ms. Radhi has also lived and worked in Indonesia since 2006 when she came as a Fulbright grantee. She serves as governor on the board of the American Chamber of Commerce of Indonesia. Let's give a round of applause for Mrs. Lydia Radhi. And also, we would like to welcome to all our government representatives, the founders of the 3 startups, and all other invitees. Well, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we start today's events, allow me to introduce the 3 startups from the financial inclusivity category. We have with us today Intuitive Care, Wire Barley, and also Komunal. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's kick off today's startup pitching session by welcoming our first startup, Intuitive Care.
Good morning. I'm Paulo Pinto, co-founder and CEO of Intuitive Care. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please, again. There we go. The problem we attack is the overwhelming amount of work done by hand by hospitals and other healthcare providers, in particular, the ones that bill and collect payments from insurance companies. The manual work happens because of a total or partial absence of interoperability between healthcare providers and insurance companies. People act as data translator between systems, typing, standardizing, and retyping data from one system to another. And the effects for the healthcare provider are a long average collection period, revenue losses, and high operating costs. In the USA, for example, administrative costs account for 25% of a hospital expenses. Next, please. Next, please. Our technology provides a data gateway between healthcare providers and their paying sources. We connect billing and payment data flows despite different transmission protocols and the most demanding administrative processes, such as eligibility checks, medical claims transmission, payment collection, and appeals. Next, please. And that data gateway broadens the scope of digital automation and administrative activities. We now automate time-consuming and labor-demanding activities previously executed manually by the healthcare provider. Next slide, please. In conclusion, our technology overcomes the root causes of the problem we attack, and the outcome is optimized back-office processes, accelerated payment collection, and reduced revenue leakage. Next, please. Next, please. The market size of our niche is about $4 trillion annually, and that represents roughly 50% of global spending on healthcare. Today, we operate in Brazil, the 8th largest market of our niche, and we plan to expand to the USA to broaden our market and impact. Next, please. Next, please. This is me and our co-founder, Luis, and our team size is about 110 employees, mostly software developers. Next, please. Next, please. In the past 5 years since our foundation, our technology has become present in more than 400 healthcare providers. We now process 12% of all medical claims from healthcare providers to insurance companies in Brazil. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much to Intuitive Care. Let's give a warm round of applause for Intuitive Care. Okay, now we'll begin our Q&A session with our judge, Mrs. Karen Babna.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I think the 12% processing going through your solution, I think it's commendable. What is the solution exactly? How are you able to reduce cost for the hospitals?
Yes, so we developed, how can I put this, a data interchange system that help hospitals, how can I put this, transmit data between the healthcare provider and their paying sources, their multiple paying sources, automatically. So we developed APIs that connect to multiple insurance companies, and with that, we're able to help hospitals automate administrative activities, and that's how they reduce costs. They stay, their operation, their back office stay more efficient.
Just another follow-up, and how has the experience been in working with the hospitals on integration? Because many of them have legacy system. How has that integration journey been, and what is the traction are you seeing initially?
Perfect. So we focus on not on every administrative activity. We focus on administrative financial activities. So it's we're talking about the processes of the hospital connecting to health insurance companies. And so like that, we absorbed a lot of the variety of systems, but specifically on eligibility checks, medical claims, the transmission, receivables, and appeals. So we focused on a few processes that are time consuming and labor demanding, and absorb the variability of different systems and legacies. So today we're connected to roughly 200 different systems, and that's how we did it. We absorbed that.
What is, how difficult would be for your competitors to do what you're doing? Is there a unique USP? Yeah.
Very difficult because they would actually have to do everything we've been doing, and be as lucky as we have been. It's not a new problem. It's a well-known problem globally, and there aren't many competitors doing what we do. In the USA, for example, we have Olive. They perhaps are the closest to what we do.
And it would be hard because no one is doing it, or is it harder because there is something unique that you have developed that will take some time to actually build it? Or maybe you have the first mover
because
advantage.
Of the uniqueness. Perfect. So yeah, it's not that we were first, but because of what we've built. So the system we've built is, how can I put this?
Okay.
It's easy to integrate a different and a new health insurance company system or a legacy system from the hospital. It's really flexible, and in a few days we can do the integration. So our differential is that.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our judge and also to Intuitive Care. Unfortunately, time has run out. But now we will begin the scoring and also the voting part of the pitching session. And just to remind our audience and also those of us joining us virtually at home, you can also join in on the voting session via the QR code that you will see on the screen behind me or also on your screen. Okay, and that concludes the scoring and the voting session for Intuitive Care. Thank you very much to Intuitive Care and also to our judges. We will continue our startup pitching session, welcoming our next startup, Wire Barley. Take it away. You may begin your presentation, Wire Barley.
All right. Nice to meet you, all of you, and thank you for having me. I'm John, CEO of Wire Barley. I'm excited to have a chance to speak about the services and vision of our company. Story of our company name. Wire means send money, and barley was the first type of currency in Mesopotamian region 3,000 years ago. Thus, we are delivering the valuable things and connecting beloved people. Next, please. People are suffering in cross-border money transfer. They have to visit a bank, expensive and hidden fees, unfavorable foreign exchange rates, or fundamental customer needs are cheaper, faster, more convenient, and safer. Financial technology companies are making innovation in remittance field by compliance with technology, financial skills beyond the SWIFT, and mobile UI UX, and global partnership. Next, please. World Bank said C2C remittance market is about $600 to $700 billion, and half of that is related to the Asian Pacific region. On the top of official statistic, it would be $1.5 to $3 trillion considering gray market, which is usually said 5 to 10 times bigger than the official numbers. C2C remittance is mainly used by the overseas foreign workers immigrants, expats to send back to their homeland for supporting family living, payment debt, and so on. Thus, it is relatively steadily growing, irrelevant to economic trend. Next, please. We established in year 2016 6 overseas offices with license in each country. $20 million of funding so far and threefold annual growth. More than 600,000 customer base and more than $1 billion transaction volume last year. Next, please. I'm a co-founder of a CEO after business school, long time as a management consulting career. Key shareholders are mainly Korean venture capital and strategic investors. Recently, a Hong Kong investor has joined. Next, please. We are providing remittance services for 7 countries like Korea, Australia, and United States as a sending country to almost every Asian country. Next, please. In order to outrace the legacy bank, we have to exclude the SWIFT instead of financial scale like funding in recipient country, netting or two-way funding flow, treasury center to optimize the total fund flows. Next, please. For the last 5 years, we have grown 30% quarterly growth of the important feature of us is a rising startup. Next, please. Next, please. Last year, we have decided to horizontal expansion toward the global payment platform. Thus, we enter the B2B business payment, digital multi-currency wallet, global card with Visa. The strategic movement is for providing various financial services to Asian abroad with our core capability like foreign exchange, customer base, and marketing.
Okay, Warburley, unfortunately your time is up, but let's give a warm round of applause for Wire Barley. Okay, now we will start our Q&A session with our judge, Mr. Wei-Han Lu, please.
Great, thank you. John, thanks for the presentation, and also congrats for your traction and growth. So over the years, there have been many solutions that show the promise to bypass the banking system for remittance. How is your solution different?
Yeah, actually, the banks are related to SWIFT, the international banking payments network. It would be very convenient, but it is very expensive and take a longer time. So we added the financial skills like treasury center and pre-fund and netting, those kind of things. So we can send money that very instantly and very, very cheaply.
I see, okay. And can you also comment on the competitive landscape, both present and future? I mean, one of the pitches, one of the promises of blockchain technology or crypto, right, is to do exactly this. Right. Do you see that as well as a threat? Yes,
there are very global remittance companies here, but nobody so far related to blockchain or crypto because that in terms of compliance, it is not viable so far. But 5 years. There must be another technology innovation, but so far the financial skills is more relevant than the technology.
I see. Okay. Can you? I mean, I think on one of your charts you showed fairly rapid growth. Can you comment on that growth? What's been the biggest driver and the biggest use case?
Yeah, the people who want to send the money cross-border, they are looking for the cheaper way. That's why they go to the gray market. So fintech companies' pricing is very, very competitive than the banks and almost the same as the gray market. So custom needs who want to send the money cheaply is one of the drivers. And Second thing is that the mobile technology, everybody has a smartphone and they want to do their financial needs with their smartphone.
I see. Okay. And how about going forward? Do you see the same kind of growth? What do you think will drive it, and how do you plan to do that Asian expansion?
Yeah, we started this business from Australia and expect to expand it to Korea and Hong Kong. And last year we entered the American market, Canada and the United States. So regional expansion and acquire the customers, Asian customers are one of the drivers for our growth.
Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you very much to our distinguished judge, Mr. Wei Han Lu, and also to Wire Barley. And now we may begin our scoring and voting session for Wire Barley. You may begin. And also, as a reminder for those of you joining us at home or from the audience, you can join in on the voting session via the QR code on your screens at home or on the screen behind me. Okay, and that concludes the scoring and voting session for Wire Barley. And next, last but certainly not least, we would like to welcome our next startup onto the stage. Joining us here is Komunal. Take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm Henry from Komunal. Komunal is the first and only neo-rural bank in Indonesia. Indonesia is a growing powerhouse of economics, but that's on the backbone of that is really the growth of the small businesses. But often these small businesses do not have the collateral in place to access financing. And that's partly the reason why we have huge financing gap. And despite of the amazing growth of the digital economy, most of our economy are still offline. Yes, we have a growing numbers of digital bank, fintech, out of Jakarta mostly, but most of these small, medium business are operating out of second and third tier city on the offline basis. So it's very challenging to serve these small businesses based on the digital approach alone, because sometimes data is limited, sometimes the data is not as timely as we want it to be. So we have our experience of underwriting alone, just based on the data alone. In the faraway places like Sulawesi, it was all good when we underwrite it, perfect. But 1 month before it's due, it will just default. For the local people, it was obvious. They saw the activity in the office, they saw the activity in the warehouse. But for us that based in Java, no way we can do that. That signified the challenge of improving financial inclusions in the vast country like Indonesia from one place alone. And not to mention the culture gap. Some of these local people think that if they borrow from fintech, they borrow from the machine. They borrow from the apps, not from the human being. So you can tell what's the willingness to pay. Fortunately, in Indonesia, we don't only have the big banks, but we also have 1,500 rural banks across the country. With 6,000 branches, most of them are operated in the second and third tier city. They have a good local knowledge, good local context, but lack of digital capability. So it's a perfect partnership if we can combine the best of both worlds in terms of offline and online. But they have these two pain points that we need to solve to be able to forge a powerful partnership. One is these rural banks, although the deposit is guaranteed by the government and earning twice compared to the commercial bank in terms of rate, but 1,500 of them combined together only take into account about 2% of the market share. And what's more amusing is that these 2%, they were able to channel out everything, almost everything, 99% that they get in terms of deposit. In contrast, the commercial bank, they have 122 billions of overliquid. Imagine if we can reshuffle, rechannel some of this, going back to the rural area, second, third tier city, and channel out efficiently to these small businesses. It will be amazing in terms of impact. And second, they have huge OPEX because of manual processes in place. So what we have is the deposit marketplace platform whereby people anywhere can open deposit paperless without face-to-face KYC. So basically bringing the rural bank standard to digital bank standard. And we also have a lending platform whereby we are helping them to do credit assessment, automated credit processing, and so on. So far, we've got 190 rural banks in our platform, 28 million processing loan. And this is the last slide that I love the most, because whatever that we do is not just the numbers, but it translates to improve people's life as we recover stronger together. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much to Komunal. And now we begin our Q&A session with Mrs. Lydia Radi. You may ask your question.
Thank you very much for the presentation and for the work that you're doing. It's obviously very important in Indonesia, and it's something that has been ongoing for back 10 years ago when I was at Kadin, and people have been trying to figure out this problem. I'm curious, are your customers finding you entirely through the rural banks?
Currently, they are finding us through the fintech arm, the fintech lending arm. But we're going to change that in the futures because we find that's not scalable due to the reason that we mentioned that we need to combine offline and online for the SME lending. So in the futures, we will ask the rural banks to focus on what they do best, their superpower being on the ground, which is to reach out to these borrowers that do not know how to get into digital. Whereas we take care of the part that we can do on a digital basis, like sourcing funding. Any dollars from anywhere is the same, but any credit dollars are different quality. And we also help them on soon we are going into the CBS, the core banking system as well. That's coming soon as a next step so that we can help them to digitize the whole process.
And so do you have a cost estimate on how much it costs to onboard customers, or a prediction for when you make this shift?
Initially, it was high, especially to onboard this BPR. We need to prove to them that whatever that we preach is working. But now, at this point in time, we spend 0 CAC because the incremental BPR that coming in, they are queuing looking for us now.
Okay.
Because we have proven it for the past 12 months that the amount that we raise for them, there's something that they never thought is possible.
Yeah. And so can you just speak a bit more about the actual business plan?
So in the futures, we'd like to combine the end-to-end from the capability of sourcing funding, the capability of lending, and then through the CBS, the core banking system as well, the smart core banking system, in such a way that we will help them not only on the tech side, but on the business SOP as well, the best practices, because that's what they need the most. They have growing market in the second and third tier city. They just need to be equipped on how to serve that better.
And when you say second and third tier cities, I mean, these are really cities.
Yes.
So what's the
There
rural
are cars,
aspect?
there are shopping malls, there are McDonald's. It's just not Jakarta and not Surabaya. You know the difference between Jakarta, people joke like Jakarta is number 1, number 2 city is Jakarta, number 3 city is Jakarta, number 4 is Surabaya.
Yeah.
So that's how different it is.
Okay, so it's really rural banks in the tech, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Komunal and also to our judge, Lydia Radi. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the startups we have for today. Let's give another round of applause for our 3 startups who have given their presentations today. to Intuitive Care, Wire Barley, and also to Komunal. And of course, the digital economy is very important. It is a big part of global economic growth. According to the World Bank, the digital economy has grown rapidly 2.5 times faster than the global GDP as well. And of course, financial inclusivity is a very important part of that. So let us hope today's startup pitching session is not only important for the different sectors and industries, but also important for global economic growth and also global welfare. Well, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the end of our agenda. On behalf of the committee, we would like to thank all of our judges, startup founders, and all the guests for your attendance and participation today. It has been indeed a fruitful deliberation. For your information, the next agenda will be an awarding session at the BICC Mangapura Hall. I'm Krishna Sam, signing off. Recover together, recover stronger. Thank you very much.